Hello and welcome to Series 7 of the Tuesday Talk Show. With me, your host, Yvonne Gorman. The Tuesday Talk Show is powered by Essential Print Services, my very own small business. I hope you're all well. Wherever you're watching this live or on catch up, we would love to hear from you. So please send in your comments and questions, and we'll be able to give you a shout out on the show, which would be very, very exciting indeed. What is also exciting is our very special guest today, coming to you live on the Tuesday Talk Show. It is none other than Dawn Edwards. Hello.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
No, absolutely my pleasure. No problem at all. Right, Dawn, tell everyone who you are, what you do, why should we listen to you?
Well, I'm founder and managing director of Challenge Consulting. We're based in Nottinghamshire and we're a multi-award winning leadership and management development company. And we also do executive coaching. But the predominant side of our business is bespoke. So companies come to us, not quite sure what they want, but they're not quite doing their best on capability or capacity or confidence for their managers. And we help them sort out what they need and deliver it.
Fantastic. Sounds exhausting. Is it exhausting?
No, I absolutely love it. If I wasn't passionate about doing it, I wouldn't be doing it. And all our trainers feel the same about it. It's nothing better.
I think that's one common theme on the Tuesday Talk Show with all the guests that we've had so far is passion. It really helps you go with resilience as well, getting through those tough times.
Definitely.
So how did you become a business owner, Dawn? What sort of scenario were you in when you took a leap of faith of having your own business?
Well, I would love to say that it's something that sort of, it was something that I'd always thought I would do. I'm not sure if that's true, but I have got a real independent streak in me. And although I was quite sort of senior in the role that I ended up in, I got made redundant. So actually it was a bit of inspiration born out of panic, I suppose, in some ways. That's what actually happened. And I had 2 months' money, 2 small children at home when I was on my own with them as well, and a mortgage to pay, and interest rates at the time were something like 15.4, I seem to remember. So it was a case of get your act together, what are you going to do? And I didn't want to travel a lot for work. So the independence and the flexibility was what did it for me. So I started from a back bedroom.
Doing what you do now from your back bedroom?
It was from my back bedroom, and I was really lucky because in those days it was send out your marketing stuff, phone people up, old traditional methods, send out a letter, follow it up. And that's always stood me in good stead because those relationship building bits are actually what keep you in business. They don't just find you, a good network of contacts. They find you customers and they keep you those customers. So that's something that I've always decided to continue with. Doesn't really matter what medium you do it with, and today's modern technology makes it a bit easier. But yeah, that's how it started. And I went lecturing 1 day a week at Montford University, having just got my own MBA. I went lecturing on their MBA program because that paid my mortgage, which was the biggest worry about all of it, really.
Yes, the roof over your head is often the entrepreneur's biggest worry to cover. Is Challenge Consulting your only business so far in your career?
Well, it is at the moment, although I also did have a children's day nursery, which was about to shut in our local village. And I bought that in 2007, turned it round, built it back up again. It had only got 5 kiddies on the roll at the time, and it had 65 when we sold it on. And that
wow.
Yeah, about 6 years ago. So we've done everything we could do with it. Couldn't be extended anymore. And Challenge, it might surprise you to know, Challenge is the name of my company, which I've been at for 25 years now. So the nursery was a lovely sideline. I don't like to let the grass grow. It meant that they're still open in our village. There's staff locally employed as well. And then I also have a portfolio of properties, so mixed portfolio shop, and I have various houses, which I run as sort of an income stream. And I love doing that as well. I've got really long-term tenants and they're brilliant too. So I just like variety.
Real entrepreneur. Were there any similarities between running the nursery and running a training business?
There were some. I have to say my training that I had because I was an investment manager at the brewery in my last employed role, and I used to decide on business liability whether to lend money or not to pubs. And I think knowing my way around the numbers and everything else was a real boon. And also because my background's commercial lending, I needed to borrow money to buy the nursery. And I just think that gives you confidence. And that's something I think everybody in business needs. If you haven't got confidence, you can forget your capability, you can forget your capacity, because if you don't believe in yourself, other people aren't going to trust you. So that's a really strong message for me.
Yeah, amen to that. Totally agree with that, Dawn. If you're watching this live or on catch up, we would love to hear from you. So please send in your comments and questions. I know some of you watch this whilst they're on the rowing machine, so that's very exciting indeed. I love the multitasking aspect of that too. Dawn, thinking about your time at Challenge Consulting, how many people, just a rough guesstimate, how many people do you think you've helped with your training? It must be. Just so
tried
many.
to put a number on it, and I honestly can't, because when it's training, we have groups typically of between 6 and 12 people at a time. If you go back over 25 years, on average, we've trained about 3 days a week, and there's up to 4 or 5 trainers a day delivering for companies. So we've got to be into the tens of thousands. And maybe more than that. I don't honestly know, because we're lucky that some clients come back again and again, and most of our clients are sponsored. So in other words, they've been spotted as having potential, and their boss phones us up, and they've maybe put a group of people together, or maybe they don't yet know what they want, but they've spotted that they need there's some capacity or some capability in the company they need to build, and that's where we come in. We help design it, but it literally is thousands and thousands. We do thousands a year, and we're the biggest centre for Institute Leadership and Management qualifications, ILM qualifications.
And I'd imagine that it's the people that you don't know you've helped, because those people that you've trained would then go into the workplace or a home and then impart what they've learned from you to them. So it could be a phenomenal amount of people, which is incredible. It's amazing. It must feel really rewarding as well.
I think the rewarding bit is, when you hear from them afterwards, and we're fortunate because we do have them come through our place several times. Often they'll say, I'm really interested in learning more about that. I'd like to go back. And because our clients they tend to be the HR professionals and the learning development professionals that have the budget, and they actually put the groups together, and they're doing the learning needs analysis, which we help with too. And for us, it's when we see them again a second time, or you do the evaluations, and there's some lovely comments on there. And again, a lot of people go on reviews these days. And whilst we do have some, because our clients that are in front of us in a training room are actually sponsored. Yeah, we don't often. It's the L&D professionals, learning development professionals, the HRs that are actually our clients directly. It's a bit of a strange industry, and actually, therefore, although the reviews are fantastic, we do get some, and we do. It always feels a bit rude for me to be asking them, because they're not actually the paying guests. And that's how we turn them paying guests, and it's fantastic. We love to have a room of bouncy, challenging people, and that's what makes for a good course.
Sounds fantastic. Dawn, thinking about what's been happening over the past year or so, I don't want to keep saying that word, but you know what I'm talking about. What have you learned about yourself?
I'm more relentless than I give myself credit for. I'm innovative and I'm flexible, and I have the most fantastic team who are equally innovative, flexible, and I hate the word resilience because I think it's a bit overused these days. But what it means is that when you're having a down day, someone in your team is around to either make that daft comment, tell you a joke, tell you to stop being stupid and get on with it. There's a whole range of things, but without that team, honestly, my company would not be here. And they were fantastic, and I ask of them every day, just like every other business manager does, and they never let me down. And I think that's why my staff don't tend to leave me. And we've got a weird model because we do use associates, but not that much, not anywhere near, because I employ my staff, I employ my trainers, which is an unusual model.
It is, yeah.
But that does mean that the clients that work with us get to know the trainers, but more importantly, the trainers get to know the clients, and therefore they get to know the business. So when we're creating tailored stuff, we're not starting from scratch because we already know something about the business because we've worked them before. So that really helps us, and it makes for really long-term relationships, which I think is where we started active on.
And I suppose having employed trainers, they become part of the family. They're more engaged, they're more invested as well, because they're part of that journey too. So yeah, totally. It is unusual, but I totally get how that works, and it works well. I've just made a note of the word relentless, and we'll come back to that later on if we've got some time, because we are already flying through the Tuesday Talk Show, as it always does. So your advice then, thinking about the clients that you helped and work with, is there a common theme that comes out as an issue or a problem within businesses? What is that problem, and how do you help people overcome it, more importantly?
Right. So if we're doing coaching and mentoring, and I do run some peer networks as well for B2N2, and they're all small business owners. So when I say small businesses, they have 5 or more employees. So they can actually be quite sizable businesses. But during that, it's always about the confidence and actually trusting their gut. And I have to say, you know, that is one thing that I really do think that is a common issue. People in business, it's lonely. That sounding board, the bigger your company gets, the more difficult that becomes. Because clearly, if you have concerns, especially over the last 2 years with COVID, you know, things have not always been rosy on the cash flow front. It's been quite difficult. It's been challenging for so many industries. Even those that have been really, really busy have had issues with staffing levels or getting supplies through, or rising costs. So all of that, you know, really does mean that you have to have confidence in your own ability. And that's something that I think people, when you're having a wobble, you do need a network of people to help you and to lift you back up again. And if you're on your own and you've only got your staff to talk to, and they're not particularly long-standing, or they're working from home, I do think it's nice as well to have some people who understand exactly what you're going through. And I think other business owners can do that for you. And peer networks are fabulous for that. And in larger companies, the biggest issue we find is it's this balance between wanting to be liked as part of that team and actually being people's boss, and having to have that conversation that nobody wants to have. And, you know, we call them courageous conversations, because I've laid awake all night thinking, I've got to have a word. It's got to be done. I don't want to do it. They're not going to like it, but I've got to do it. And what's it going to be like afterwards? Are people going to look at me funny? Are they going to talk to me afterwards? Are they going to call me blind when I'm out the room? Possibly, but it's your job. And for us, you know, it's a transaction. When you're managing people, I think setting the stall out to say this is not personal. You know, sometimes I might have to do things that are unpopular, but that is my job, and it's here to safeguard the whole business.
Definitely. I remember some of those really tough conversations with members of my team, and you're putting it off and you're putting it off. And I learned from over the years that it's the first thing in the morning, get it out of the way. You don't want your stomach churning all day, because that affects the atmosphere. And more often than not, it always went much better than I was expecting it to as well. So to get it out of the way, first early doors, and like you say, setting the scene. It's really tough for me to ask of this of you. I will tell this to you. So, you know, please be kind to us as the business owners and leaders, as much as we are trying to be kind to our teams as well. So, yeah, that's really interesting. And again, a common theme, people, from other shows as well. What advice would you give to someone who's starting a new business right now, bearing in mind the climate that we're in? If someone says, I'm thinking about starting a business, I'm not too sure when to do it or if it'd be successful, what sort of advice would you give someone?
Well, I'd use a quote first and say, if you don't ask, you don't get. Because no one is going to come to you and say, oh, I heard you're starting a business, if they don't know you there.
Exactly.
And secondly, it's rare for people to say, oh, really? Oh, I can do this for you. I can do that for you. Did you know this is around? So doing your homework. That is, you know, doing your homework. And if you don't ask, you don't get. So get yourself out there. Why would people use you? And I love that, you know, bearing in mind we do problem solving in our training all the time and decision making stuff. It's the when. When should I start? What am I going to sell? Who's going to buy it from me? But the biggest one out of all of these is why. Why would they buy from you? And why are you doing this?
Why?
Why are you doing it? Find your why. It's that cheese from that motivational book all those years ago. Why are you even doing this? Because running a business is hard work. And they always say, you know, never work another day in your life if you love what you do. And of all people, I'm the greatest advocate of that. But you need to make sure you do love it. and you need to make sure there's a market for it. And I hate to come back to it. There's my finance background. Do your numbers. You know, when I started out, I knew I'd got 2 months, and that's why I took the one day a week lecturing at the uni, because it paid the biggest outgoing that I'd got. And that was a Monday. It's the quietest day for what I was doing. People in the office don't like calls necessarily on a Monday. They've just got in, or training days, you know, bad days. People want to get in, get their work done. So it was a Monday for me. Think about what you could afford to do and create yourself almost a hybrid situation if you financially are challenged. So they call it a portfolio career these days, don't they? A very modern term.
A squiggly career. A squiggly
Yeah,
career.
it means doing something 1 or 2 days a week or 1 or 2 evenings a week to keep the wolf from the door, literally, so that you can spend your time doing whatever it is to build that passion. Then do it, and do your numbers first, because, you know, you have to be able to spend that time really focusing. And if you're being dragged off worrying about other things, then, you know, and if you're going to start a business, I am the area lead, I should mention that, for Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire for the Federation of Small Business. And clearly I've been involved with the East Midlands Chamber. I was its president a couple of years ago. And that's because I really do believe in this stuff. I know some people say, you know, why would you do that? I do believe that you have to be in it to win it, and we all have to make our voices heard. So if you're starting a business or you're in business and actually things are really tough, if you're out there saying that and being honest about it and being confident again about saying that, you know, I'm not moaning for the sake of it. You know, we need to all stick together and make our voices heard for what we need for business.
Absolutely. I'm writing loads of notes down, Dawn. From that section alone, just to recap, we've got, if you don't ask, you don't get, do your homework, look at the numbers, get your head around the numbers as well, find your why would people buy from you, why you're doing what you're doing, and get out there. What would you say to a small business owner, Dawn, if they came to you for advice about the scenario is their employers come to them and wanting a more of a hybrid situation? They're wanting to start a business, but they're wanting maybe some less time in the office so they can go and do their own side hustle. What advice, in the current climate as well, with jobs being so difficult to hire at the moment, what advice would you give a small business owner about that scenario? Because for me, I'd be scared of losing them completely.
I think anybody in their right mind would be, Yvonne.
Yeah.
And at the moment, good staff are hard to find and,
Yes.
you know, to keep, because there are some real shortages out there, and people, by definition, it's the supply and demand curve. There's me economics coming out. It's the supply and demand curve. You know, at the end of the day, we aren't in equilibrium at the moment. I'm afraid there are far more jobs out there for skilled people, perhaps, than there has been for a long time. That means they can choose. And as a result, of course, salaries are going up. So there's always that old adage, you get more for an import than being homegrown. I'm not sure that's necessarily true, but I would say listen first, carefully listen, and don't just listen to what they're saying. Listen to their demeanour. Listen to emotional intelligence. I hate using buzzwords, but look at that person's demeanour. If they seem really passionate and if they genuinely appear to be almost conflicted, they really want to do this, but they don't want to leave you either in the lurch, then listen to them and give it a crack. It might not work, but if you rob them of that opportunity, I don't think people forgive you. And ultimately, they'll go and find someone else who will let them do it, or they'll find and take my advice and go and find themselves a hybrid career somewhere else. And actually, if I'm in learning and development, I'm saying people shouldn't progress or do something different, then I shouldn't really be here, should I? Because my whole world, my whole working life has been around developing people and opening up doors for them so that they have better confidence and know their capability.
Yeah, that's really good advice, Dawn. And also, you might get an even better, more productive employee if you give them the opportunity and help them along the way. Yeah, that's really good advice, really good way of thinking about it too. So
I think sorry, Yvonne, we also need to get the new flexible working regs might mean that you'd have a bit of a fight on your hands anyway. Employment law's not sorted it all out yet, but this working from home, remote working, all the rest of it, I don't think we've seen the sea and the tide of what's coming yet.
No.
So also, you might want to check out with somebody who knows, even if you're in a position to say no.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really good advice, actually. So we're already careering our way through 2022. It's February as this show is aired. What advice would you give people to help them absolutely smash it this year to really grow their business, to make it more profitable, more enjoyable? What are your top tips for 2022 in business?
Well, my top tips would be something like that horrible word again that I've just used, relentlessness.
Oh, I come back to relentlessness.
It is relentlessness. This whole 2 years has felt relentless to me, but I'm also really competitive. So find your competitive streak. Don't let it beat you. And I'm afraid anybody that's been in business and said, oh, it was really easy. Well, I've yet to meet them, because even if it felt easy at the beginning, it shouldn't be easy, because it means you're coasting. Why would anybody coast, Yvonne? We all want to do the best that we can be in what we're doing. And for me, aiming for that, you might not always be the best. It might not be that you've got the resources to be the best, but what you can be is you can be the best authority going on what you're good at. And I would say the first thing is know what you're good at. Know your why. We've talked about that. Find your why. Why am I doing this? And it's often not about money. Or if it is, fine, it could be about money for most people.
That's fine. It's a dirty word sometimes, and a dirty thing to admit for some people. But if it is your motivator, then that's fine. It's your thing. If it's a fancy car, that's your thing. But like you say, most people, and their common theme is, it's not about the money that they started the business, which is, but it's the thing that keeps everything glued together. So it is very strange scenario. So you mentioned there, Dor, find your why. What else? What other advice would you give us?
See, I am a great believer in giving back anyway. And if you do give back, people give back to you. And I am a great believer in paying it forward. So for me, you do get back what you give out. So if you don't give out very much, you're not likely to get very much back. And you don't know what you don't know. So I know you said to me, have I got a favourite quote? Well, everything is worth learning about, because you never know if it's going to be useful. So actually, for me, listening really carefully, but getting yourself out there to listening to different perspectives. Because if you only surround yourself with the same types of people, you're only going to get the same answers. Yeah. And that's not innovative. That's not innovative grounding, So, yeah, get out there, Yvonne. Do you agree with that? Then I'll take it.
Absolutely. And I mentioned about getting different perspectives. And that's how the peer-to-peer networks have been so valuable for so many people. And that doesn't mean like a formal peer-to-peer network like you and I have been involved with. That could be a group of business owners that you meet up with in the pub every Wednesday night or every month. It could be a really informal WhatsApp group that you can just chuck a problem into, and you get loads of different ideas and advice. And it's a really lonely place to be, even when you've got loads of employees physically around you. I have been at times when I'm thinking, I've got people in my office, yet I feel so lonely. I don't know what to do. But to have the people outside of your business who've got a fresh view of things is absolutely invaluable. So definitely, and paying it forward. That's a big one of mine too. And it's fascinating that goodwill comes back around to you. It'll hit you completely by surprise. You go, oh, that's happened because last year I did that thing. Oh, right, okay. It's absolutely fascinating. It gives me goosebumps sometimes when things weird and spooky happen like that. Have you had any scenarios that you can remember? You've done something just completely because it's the right thing to do, and you think, yes.
And last year, a couple of years ago, actually, when all this kicked off with COVID, I remember having a conversation with a client of ours we've worked with for a long time. All their training was being suspended. We couldn't be in a room anymore. And she decided to do some online, but pare it right down because some groups hadn't started. All very understandable stuff. They'd got to staff what they needed to do. And, I said to her, well, okay, well, I won't be charging you for cancelling at short notice. There's nothing you can do about it. I appreciate that. She then said, okay, that's fine. Right, I'm going to pay all of your invoices now anyway. And what we'll do is we'll bank it. So for me, that is a testimony to the fact that if you're fair with your clients, they're fair with you. And that for me, I actually felt quite emotional afterwards, because she said to me, this cannot be easy for you. We've worked with you for donkey's years. We will be working with you again. Let's just pay your bill anyway. It's a stage payment thing. So it kept us sort of buoyant. And you don't forget things like that. So, you know, we do a lot of extra stuff around the edges that we don't charge directly for. But you're more likely to do it for clients who look after you. But equally, she probably did that because I looked after her.
It's that like relationship thing again, isn't it? It's building those relationships. Very similar scenario at the start of lockdown. I was very vocal on social media about how tough it was and what the business was going through. And I think because of that, clients who weren't suffering as much from the pandemic because of a certain industry, they were placing orders for things that they didn't really need right then and there, but to support me, they were placing orders to help me out, which again, you just don't forget that sort of generosity. And again, then you feel compelled to, like say, pay it forward. There's been times when people have started a business, good friends of mine, and I've said, look, I'll buy a boatload of your time if you're doing a video company or whatever it was, and then I'll pay you now to get you going, but I might not need the video till later on, so I'll just do it later on when you're less busy. So it's just helping those people out whenever you can. It really does pay dividends. We are flying through time, Dawn. I knew we would, and it's been absolutely fantastic catching up with you. So at Challenge Consulting, Dawn, what are your biggest challenges right now? How can we help you?
Well, our biggest challenges are capacity for us, you know, the confidence, capability, capacity, bags of confidence, loads of inquiries coming through, the capability we've got, the capacity, I'm going to be recruiting soon. So it's all looking positive. So I'm really, really happy, Yvonne. So thank you for asking that, because it's a really good news story going forward. And I'm hoping that other people are going to be feeling the same, because optimism goes a long way.
It really does, for your own mental health as well. Focusing on whatever's going wrong is not going to help your business survive. It needs to thrive, doesn't it? Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Dawn. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you. If people want to get in touch with you, where can we find you?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn. I am Dawn Edwards 1. Or they can find our website. Find our website, not surprisingly, at challengeconsulting.co.uk. So it's all one, challengeconsulting.co.uk. And to be honest, I'm not precious about it. Or they can email me at dawn@challengeconsulting.co.uk. So yeah, it's nice and straightforward, but it's been a genuine pleasure. I've so enjoyed myself. Thank you for inviting me on.
It's a good chance as well, isn't it, to just sort of recap and have a few moments to yourself to actually think, yeah, I have achieved lots of things, and a chance to talk about what we accomplished. So thank you so much. At this point, Dawn, I'm going to wrap up the show and then come right back to you right at the end for your final thought. The Tuesday Talk Show has been powered by Essential Print Services based on Pride Park in Derby. For all episodes so far, this is Series 7, so there's tons of other episodes to watch on the Tuesday Talk Show YouTube channel. Make sure you press the subscribe button and the bell icon to receive notifications about future episodes. And if you're listening to this or watching this live or on catch up, send in comments and questions. I'll definitely get back to you. But if you're thinking, I wouldn't mind a bit of that myself, then please send me a message. We'd love to get more guests on the show. Your bookings for Series 9. So it's never ending at the Tuesday Talk Show. But for now, for our ending today, we're going to go over to Dawn Edwards from Challenge Consulting in Nottinghamshire for your final thought, please, Dawn.
Right. Surround yourself with positive people. Be clear about what you want to achieve and tell other people. And as I said before, you know, be loud and be proud. Because if you're not confident, other people are not going to know where you are and they're not going to come and talk to you. And everybody likes an upbeat story. So, you know, smile, be confident, be your best self, and everybody will follow.
Oh, I can't say any more than that. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Dawn. And we'll end it there. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you soon on the Tuesday Talk Show. See you later. Bye.